In one way or another, I feel that we all have been like this woman at some point in our life. We were desperate to get healed, maybe not necessarily physical disease, but of our heart. We were desperate to find the answer that we are looking for from our life, the meaning of life. And we cried out, maybe silently from our heart, "Please help me. Is there someone who can show me the way?" At that point, we might not have known what was waiting for us, but we were at least sincere. We had that sincere desire. And somehow we received a response, and that's why we are here. Maybe we received a copy of Autobiography of a Yogi, or somehow we saw the ad for the meditation course, and that's how we came here. For me, that hem of the garment that I had to reach out was quite far. I had to travel a long distance, not only from Japan to India, but I also had to go to Africa to find my guru. At some point, I was invited to attend a program in some event in Kenya that was related from my previous work, some alumni gathering. I turned it down at first, thinking, actually, I'm not really interested in these things anymore. I would rather, find my spiritual path. But a few days before the program, a thought came to me that, well, it doesn't matter, whether I relate to many people over there. At least there are a few people that I want to meet, a few friends. So let me go. A day before I was supposed to leave, the organizer called me up and asked me, "Can you make a short presentation on the first day of the event?" Which is like the next day, and in front of 500 people. So I would have said no before, but somehow at that moment, I could say yes. I didn't care whether I'll do a good job or not, but I thought, I'll do it. So I did. I went and I did. The very next morning, a woman came up to me holding a copy of Autobiography of a Yogi. And 10 days later, I was right here in this temple. Though the reason I went to Africa or attended the program had nothing to do with spiritual search, but I still believe that my guru came to me at that particular point because I said yes to what came to me. Regardless of, my likes and dislikes. I chose to be open to what came in my life right in front of me, and I put out energy to the best that I can. And that was what was needed. Here in Ananda Delhi, we have yoga classes, Ananda Yoga. This month, we started a new approach. We pick one spiritual quality every week, and we design each class so that we can cultivate that particular spiritual quality through the practice of asanas. This past week, it was willpower. How can yoga asanas help us cultivate our willpower. What do you think? Shall we try very difficult asanas or very strenuous ones? What is important is not necessarily which particular asanas we do, but the attitude that we do it with. The attitude of saying yes. Whatever you do, whichever asana we do, if we approach that asana with the attitude of, yes, I will enjoy this asana, I will practice with joy, with enthusiasm, that will help us to bring willpower in the form of willingness that we just did with affirmation. And that attitude of saying yes was how our Guru Paramhansa Yogananda showed us with his life. Swami Kriyananda talked about one example of his friend who was traveling in a bus in the mountain area. That bus got stuck in the ditch in the valley, and the driver asked everyone, all the passengers, to get off the bus and push the bus so that the bus can get out of the ditch. So the driver was stepping on to the accelerator many times, but the bus didn't move. And he wondered, what is going on? Everyone is pushing the bus, and why it's not moving? So he went out, and he was surprised to see half of the passengers were pushing the bus from the back, and the other half was pushing the bus from the front. Ridiculous. But this is what is happening within us also quite often. We have two forces within us. One is very willing to do what we want to achieve. And at the same time, we have the opposing energy that goes against our effort, neutralizing our effort. Swami Kriyananda said, willpower, to cultivate willpower, the first thing you want to do is to remove the no-saying tendency. That is maybe your laziness, your doubt, your fear. We have to get rid of that opposing force. How do we do that? Even if we tell to our mind, it's not always easy to just switch our mind. But we can work with energy. Increase the upward flow of energy with the asana also, or just simply bringing our concentration at the point between the eyebrows, or chant. There are many, many ways to increase the upward flow of energy within us. And when we have that upward flow of energy, it becomes much more easier to say yes to what comes in our life. It is not what exactly we do that is important, but what kind of energy you put out is what counts. In the reading, there was a passage, self-confidence and self-effort are necessary, as the ignition of a car is necessary to the motor. Wise is he who recognizes the real power in the universe. Have you ever been in a situation where you feel you have too much to do, too many things to take care of, and you feel overwhelmed? And you say, I cannot do everything. So I'll do this much, but I won't do this much. Next time, why do we say so? Because we feel our energy is limited. We don't have enough to do everything. But next time, I suggest that you say yes. If not to everything, but try to say yes to a little more than what you usually say yes to. Because you have more power, more energy than you think if you invite God to do it with you. Instead of saying, "Oh, please God, do this for me." No. But instead you say, "God, let's do it together, you and me." Then you'll be amazed how much energy will flow through you. There's this episode from Swami Kriyananda. When he was young, he was giving us Sunday satsang or service like this. And one day he thought, let me wait for God to speak through me. So he stood in front of the congregation, silent, waiting for God to speak. More silence. More silence. Few minutes passed. People started worrying. What is going on? What's wrong with him? Then Swamiji realized that, okay, maybe God is not coming. So let me speak. So he started speaking. Then the moment he started speaking, God's inspiration started flowing through him. We have to take that first step for God to come and work with us. There's a saying, God helps those who help themselves. So, and also, we don't have to think, oh, I can't do it. Because after all, it's not us who is doing. You are not doing. It's Him. God is doing everything. And we know that He can do anything. So why even worry? One day, Paramhansa Yogananda scolded one of his disciples. And that disciple said, "Oh, Master, I want to change, I want to improve. But how can I change without your blessings?" And he said, "My blessings are there. God's blessings are there. It is your blessings that are lacking." Okay? So let's give ourselves the blessings, because God is with us and we know that He will help us. Yoganandaji also said to his disciple, Dr. Lewis, that remember, God loves you as much as He loves me. He's a common Father. It doesn't matter whether you are a realized master or, like us, the saints in making. God is as much as with us. So let's keep saying yes. Let's keep raising our energy. With complete faith, let's reach out to the hem of the garment of our Guru, of God, again and again, until we become completely free.
That was such a beautiful sharing, and really, that story about you going to Africa, just such a beautiful testament to the power of willingness. And, not just on the, we think just we are on the spiritual path and we have to be willing. But really, think about it. She was at work before coming to Ananda, and she just said yes. And that opened the door to so many blessings in our life. And which is to say that, there is no spiritual and unspiritual acts. We have to remove that from our mind. And so just very, very important. So thank you for sharing that. When we think of self-effort, our topic today is self-effort too is needed. We balance it with grace. But sometimes when we use the word effort, or many times I should say, it conjures up images of hard work and struggle and strain, because that's how often in the world we think, effort, I have to do this, and then after some time, I'm going to receive some benefit, some reward. But really, on the spiritual path, the word effort means something very different. And especially, for spiritual seekers, which all of us are, sometimes something can seem like an effort to some of us, which really to my fellow spiritual seeker might seem actually very effortless. And what is this factor that distinguishes? And really it's a quality we talk often about. We speak about it all the time actually. And it's really devotion. It's love. And there is a principle in life, if we will remember it, that the more love we have, the greater love we have cultivated, the less everything seems like an effort. But the less love we have in our hearts, the more everything, simple things also, seem like an effort. And I thought I'd give an example at the expense of one of my friends here, who I hope doesn't mind it. So let's say Vasudha, she's at home and her son comes home, from school, even though he's just going to college. But let's say he comes home from school and he's had a very rough day. And he says, Mom just had a very bad day. And, she can see his energy is just completely down. And she says, don't worry, just let's cheer you up. And what can I make for you? It's lunchtime. And he says, I don't know, Mom, just had a very bad day. And she says, no. Okay, so I'm going to make your favorite aloo puri. And, he's like, his eyes open up. And she says, Ki, chalo, to go with that, some halwa. And okay, I'll add your favorite palak paneer as well. And by this time, his kundalini is just up and about. He's just shooting off his seat. And he's like, okay, good. So she's like, she goes into the kitchen, takes time to make that meal. So spends a few hours in there. But really, is it an effort for her? No. As we know, mother cooks for her child. Heart is open. It's not an effort at all. It's a complete sheer joy to cook and serve your child in the same way. And so she feeds her son in that way. But let's imagine a different scenario, which is, again, lunchtime has come. The doorbell rings. Vasudha is like, okay, he's back. My son is back. She opens the door. And who does she find in front of him? Her is her least favorite relative. And I know Vasudha is not like this. She's very even-minded and cheerful and very gracious. But if it was you, if it was me, the least favorite relative who just comes in unannounced and says, hey, how are you? And you say, oh, I'm very good. So nice to see you, even though you're not probably feeling it. And then they invite themselves in and, you ask, what can I make for lunch? And they say, oh, nothing, but really if you insist, that aloo puri you make is just out of this world, and the halwa and your matar paneer I tasted, a few weeks back. And will you make that? You're like, of course. And, she goes to the kitchen, spends a few hours again making the same meal. But I think this time it may seem like an effort, isn't it? It's the same work, it's the same task, but it could seem like an effort. And why is that? Really, there's, like I said, the greater the love, the less any act seems like an effort. And the less love we have or have cultivated, the more everything feels, like an effort, like a task, like a chore. And effort is necessary, but like Chika said, it would be better to think of energy rather than use the term effort. And we have to put out energy. In my own life, I remember when I first came to Ananda many years ago, I was young, I was 12 at that time. And Swami Kriyananda, was living in Gurgaon. He had just come to Gurgaon. And there was one house, one big house, just like this ashram, where but then all of these wonderful great souls, Daya and Keshava, Jyotishin Devi, Jaya and Sadhana ji, Dhyana ji, Asha ji, many of them were living there. And my first impressions of Ananda were just that. It was like a spiritual Disneyland. You enter and you're like, my goodness, what's happening here? Everyone is so kind. Everyone is so warm. They're loving. They're embracing. And I, just enjoyed that. And then, some years later, Swami moved to Pune in 2009. And I decided to move, tag along and again be in that energy. But really, in 2013, when he passed away suddenly, I felt a very big vacuum in my life, which I'm sure to a certain degree everyone who knew him felt that. But I felt it more so because I realized one day that what I had been doing till that point for those first 7, 8, 9 years was that I was really enjoying his huge energy and and the energy of everyone else, and just a little passively feeding off of that. And it was going fine until, he left. And then it struck me, if I need to last a lifetime on the spiritual path, I need to put out my own effort. I just can't be passive. And everyone was still very kind and still very warm, but I had to make my effort. And many times in life, we too come on the path with great enthusiasm. We start off great, but then, as we say, the middle ground comes, where there is often effort. We have to put our own effort. And so it is important to put energy. And without it, like Swami was saying, we cannot even attract God's grace to ourselves. But what kind of effort? Because it's not an effort to, is it an effort to be with God? Is it an effort to be with the Guru? The Guru says, come, Vasudha, sit with me, just to balance it out. And of course, it's not a task for her or for me or for any of us. To be in the Guru's blissful presence, to commune with him, it's not a task, it's not an effort. So what is the effort then? I think the effort is just showing up for the meeting with the Guru. Isn't it? It's just every single day showing up for the things that the Guru, where he can be found. So whether it's our daily meditation, whether it's serving through which we can feel the Guru's flow, whether it's meeting other Guru Bhais through whom we can feel the Guru's flow. And so that's the effort really. Because why is it an effort to show up? Because I think we all know all the thousands of different things and distractions and everything every single day that prevents us from keeping that appointment with God, with Guru. But like I said, even that effort of showing up, we can just take that whole effort away. And I was thinking, think of, let's say you go to the airport. I'm sure many of us have done this, that you go to the airport and perhaps your child is returning from abroad after many years, you're very eager to see him, or your spouse is coming, or a very dear friend is returning back. So, you get ready, you go to the airport, and you stand there at that point 40, 50 feet away from the gate, where they are going to come out. And you're waiting there, but there are hundreds of other people around you. Maybe there's a big crowd, maybe there's pushing and shoving, and somebody in front of you blocking your vision, and you're like, Bhaiya, side ho jana. And you stand up, you are very, very keenly trying to focus and find that one person who you have come to receive at the airport, isn't it? And does it seem like an ordeal? Not at all. Why? Because we are focused. We know there's one thing I've come here for and one person I have come here to receive. And we know, silly as it sounds, we don't, in the middle of that, start talking to a stranger next to us and, say, hey, there is this Starbucks here, chalo, let's have chai, to the point you forget about your guest has come and gone. Doesn't happen. Because we are focused. We have come to receive the person, and hundreds, like I said, of faces in front, finally they come, and you're so happy to see them. You greet them, you embrace them, you receive them. And really, this is really what happens in our spiritual life. Every day, we are asked to go to the airport. All of us, we are asked to go and receive that one guest, just one. And their face, there is no mistaking their face, is it? That one face of the Guru of God, the heart knows it, it's imprinted on the mind. And even though 1,000 other distractions come, there's pushing, they shove you, there is no mistaking, isn't it? And you say, and this is what we have to do, you say, I have come to receive him. And do we go back home when we go to meet our relative without taking them? Arey nahi, 2 ghanta ho gaya, they haven't come, the flight is late. I guess I'll just go back home. No, you don't go back home till you receive them. And just in the same way, I'm going to go to the airport and I'm going to receive them. And I'm not going back till I receive them. And that's the attitude of a devotee. Every single day, showing up. That's all we have to do, showing up. And so it takes willpower, it takes that focus that you have at the airport to block everything out. Everything that blocks your vision, your path, takes willpower and takes that love. Because you're so eager to meet them, to receive them, to talk to them. And finally, like I'll just again repeat, just the power of love. Which all saints talk about, let's say you get married, you just got married, let's say yesterday, and you're deeply in love, and you go to work the next day, but really, what happens? You're doing your work, but your mind is really on your beloved. You're like, okay, calm, when will this work end? I want to go back home and spend time with my husband or my wife and, share with them what I've done. And maybe your boss says, Rajesh, what's happening to you today? Where is your mind? You used to be so efficient and quick, but today you seem to be a little lost. You're singing, you're not focused. And what's happening when we're talking about effort here? It's now hard not to concentrate on whoever it is that you're trying to concentrate. And when you reach that state, really what's happening, the very definition of effort is changing. From being something that prevents you, right? Some act that you have to do in order to be with your beloved, in order to, go meet the Guru. Now, if we can cultivate that kind of love in our hearts, then Yogananda promises us and told us it will take an effort of will to focus on other things actually. Because you'll be so one with God, so drunk with God, as he would say. And so this is really where all of us want to be. We are aspiring to be, we are trying our best every day, but just increasing the power of that love. The more we can do that, really self-effort becomes the greatest joy, because you want to do it for, the one whom you're dedicating all your actions to. And then finally, as Master said, he said, then efforts they end in ease, and it all becomes effortlessly liberating. The more we do this, the more we practice it. In the beginning, it might seem like an effort to show up, but the more we keep at it, it becomes effortlessly liberating. So I think that's something for all of us really to aspire towards, a great, great adventure to work for every single day of our lives. So namaste. And let's just close our eyes for just a moment. And in our mind's eye again, bring that face of the Guru or the Divine, whatever form you worship the Divine. And just remind yourself, resolve deeply. I'm going to show up every single day at the airport of life, and I'm not going back until I receive you. I'm not going back until I receive you in my heart and in my soul. Om.